There is great potential for the reverse sweep because we saw clutches, aces, and Entropiq dominate on Mirage, and a Gambit that looks like they might be a bit nervous at this point. Frustration certainly setting in. At one point, Shiro was literally face down, hands in his head, not happy at all.
From Gambit youngsters to Gambit infants. This is just, which team is this? I was sitting here saying, you know, Gambit, they're a bit like Astralis, they don't give you any gifts, right? Like
100%, you said 3-1?
They're very disciplined. I didn't say 100%. They're very disciplined, you know, but here, they were just giving away rounds that you should never lose.
No, I mean, like, I was going to talk about Entropiq's T side more than Gambit's failure because, you know, they just didn't play the map well. On the other side, Entropiq was playing super good T side. They were throwing a lot of like this kind of fast, individualistic kind of rounds, right? But kind of well coordinated. After they won a couple of those, they're going to B-pop, they're going to go back to A, and on top of that, they saved a couple of, you know, disadvantage rounds. They got a half 10-5, and then after that, it was a little bit of a slow grind, but they got there.
They got there in style as well. We got some clutches to run, which we should definitely touch on because these were some big difference makers in it. And these are rounds which is uncharacteristic for Gambit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for any team that's ranked third in the world, really, it's just so many rounds where they have the advantage. This is a 2v4, right? Like this is where the Flash player, I believe, is going to come in, and it's going to be a great round from Nickelback. But it's just, you know, time and time again, they had like these rounds where you just shouldn't lose them no matter what happens.
I don't know like how he got the second one there. You're gonna see Flash flying right about now. Shiro dying there, which is fine, and then the trade is, well, non-existent, and that kind of opens up the round right there.
It's just weird how they couldn't get the trade. I don't know if Nafani was like full blind as well or not, so he couldn't react, but then he picks up the op, and that's just it. And these rounds are so deflating, like so depressing to lose.
For me, it's like 4v2 there. You know they're two deagles, right? They didn't pick up a gun. I mean, there's no point for playing like
it's ultra safe, right?
Like double ticket, it's like, you know, just allowing them too much space to creep up on you, and they had a flash and used it perfectly. So it wasn't really well played by Gambit at that point.
And that was the first point where you saw obviously Shiro's reaction. He wasn't happy, right? Hand down his head. Then we get this next clutch as well that comes off. That there's another one that really shouldn't have been. It should have been Gambit having better protocols in here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is even worse. It's a 2v5, right? And Elian is left on like 10 HP after this, even in the 2v4. And then Gambit, again, just here, you know, yes, you're kind of playing for info, right? But it's just easy for Nickelback gets a good kill, and then Shiro is just...
Shiro being too defensive there. He needs to straight up and swing and try to trade it instantly. He was losing so much ground there.
It's just like, you know, there's like multiple ways to play this, but they seem super disconnected how they were doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that they weren't playing together, even though they're kind of you see that they're trying to play safe, like one guy's just trying to spot for info and the second player is close, so they could play after the round still falls apart. Elian then with that flank in a great position, and they just close out the rounds.
It's just mirrored of what was happening in Vertigo, right? When Gambit was winning those rounds, it's just, you know, I don't know why are Gambit playing so passive and defensive, like not to lose instead of just to finish it up.
I think they're trying, you know, they're trying to play the correct way, right? To play safe, but they're so much in their head, like about that they're just giving too much space, and they're allowing space for plays which should never exist in that sort of situation. As Kassad said the first time around, they just have deagles, right? Yeah. Like they might or may not have armor even. Like you can try to play at least together, like a little bit more aggressive.
Just a little bit frustrated, I guess.
Yeah, and I would say this is where the confidence then also started to shine, right? Because Entropiq gets a couple of rounds like this, super pumped up. You're hearing Hoops just screaming, shouting
exactly.
non-stop.
Entropiq is getting loud, right? The players themselves also, you can see with them it's the opposite. They are playing with all the confidence, and it doesn't matter if it's a little bit too risky, right? It's just if you do play that way and you get the kills, that also has a psychological effect on your opponents.
If they didn't believe it so far, they believe 100% they can just win the whole thing.
And the problem for Gambit was in best of fives when they get to the fifth map, like when the final drags on is when Gambit actually runs out of gas, and when they tend to lose, when the finals that they won were usually like a 3-0 or a 3-1, just pretty convincing, really.
VP in Katowice, it was 3-1. Yeah.
VP and then someone at something as well, 3-0, like I am Summer against OG, I think, or someone.
Yeah,
or Vitality. There's been too many tournaments.
Yeah, there was the OG one in there as well. But I would also say, for me, when you're looking at the Gambit now, they are a team who's also been very vocal that we don't like best of fives, you know, it's too draining for us, this thing. So their mental is going to be going even more so in this. They need to have a full reset coming into this next map. And it's Dust 2, which hasn't looked great for them.
They need to have someone in the game who's going to, in a 4v2, still talk and be like, come on guys, let's do this, let's do that. Right? When there's these rounds that happen that are, you know, just need to be closed out, like someone is still going to take initiative, right? Yeah. And that's the problem sometimes. It feels like after they lost a round or two like that, in those situations, the communication is not there anymore. You know, the energy has fallen off as well, and that's why they're playing worse, and that just spirals out of control, and they keep losing more and more of those rounds.
Honestly, in this kind of situation, where this is happening, the communication drops so low, the timeouts don't work. I would like to wish, like to see someone slams the desk, if nothing, right, to wake them up, to shake them up a little bit, because they were just went to this momentum of like keep like losing round after round after round, and nothing was really happening. It doesn't look like Gambit at all.
And Dust 2. This has been the bane of their event so far. They were picking it in terms of, we want to get more official practice on it. You guys said they were changing some things up. The silver lining is the game against Big was good, but that was when this was like in a series, you know, best of 3, they weren't feeling like this.
You know why it was good? It was good because they were like calm, composed, they executed a lot of retakes very well. You know, they don't look like that squad right now, and I'm wondering, you know, Big laid out a little bit of a blueprint. They were abusing mid to B a lot, and that's also the site where Nafani and Inters are. I mean, that's without a doubt, like the weaker site to go to. So I'm wondering if Entropiq is going to try and do the same, and how Gambit will, like, if you want to be considered a contender for the #1 spot, you can't always like fall off. You can't give away a reverse sweep. At least you have to show heart, right? Like, get outplayed, that's fine, but don't just, you know, lay down and die.
The problem is Dust 2, obviously, they lost against Fiend, they lost it against Enterprise as well. Against Big, it was, I guess, alright, like we said, because it was the semi-final, you kind of show up properly, but right now I see the problem because Shiro is kind of dropped off a little bit.
Yes,
it's
massively.
Dust 2, he's a defensive op on T side, they have problems with executions on T side. On the other hand, we have Alien, who is absolutely aggressive. They like to play Dust 2. Recently, they have like fallen off because they went into Asian kind of more. But right now, I think that the advantage is massively on Entropiq at this point. Maybe the experience in best of 5s can play a role a little bit here, but Entropiq looks hyped, like pumped and like energetic, like it's the first damn map, right?
Yeah, they look like they're ready for it. Well, let's see if they can grab it. Guys, thank you for your time. As always, it's time for us to go into the final map of this best of 5 grand final. We probably didn't think we'd ever be here at the start of the day, and potentially Entropiq might be able to take down Gambit, but let's find out with Dinko and Hawker.
Of course, we've got to go all 5 here in the best of 5 CIS matchup. Entropiq pulling off what is likely to be if they can take us through this reverse sweep. I didn't think it was possible at all, Hawker, but Entropiq have just shown us some crazy comebacks, some crazy emotions. I think coming into is mainly what I've been impressed by. They've actually been able to stay in the game mentally, and they've looked solid throughout just in a team environment. Gambit looked dejected halfway through the game. It just looked completely flat, and they've got to have someone in this team, someone experienced, just to step up after the match, go outside and just tell them what they're doing and just hype it up. What are we doing here unless we're going to get the win?
Absolutely. And that's the main point, is that Gambit just don't look like themselves right now. The fundamentals that I normally praise them for, their team play, which is normally excellent, just hasn't been there in the same way. They haven't looked like the same confident team. That has to change here.
It absolutely does. And yesterday, Nafani gave an interview to HLTV.org and spoke about Dust 2 and why they picked it and why they went towards it so many times at this event. And the main word used in that interview was experience. Obviously, they wanted to pick up experience coming into it. Well, this is a map where they struggled a lot in this competition. As touched on by Kassad over on the desk just a moment ago, they lost to Fiend in their opening game, 16-9 at this event. That put them into the elimination game. They then had played Dust 2 versus Enterprise. They lost it against Enterprise as well. And Nafani was saying the reason they've gone towards it is because the coaching staff feel very, very comfortable on Dust 2. And I think one of the things he said was, it's because it's an old map. Now, I don't know about you, Holka, but when they say it's a coaching staff, that doesn't really give me a lot of confidence because the coaches aren't playing the games. It's the players inside of the server.
And there has been some changes, obviously, that you have to adapt to. And that's always something that the players are probably going to be more honed in on than anyone else. And also, I really do think that B side of the map is going to be key for Gambit here. As the Des pointed out, it's Nafany and Inters often playing that B site. There were a couple of games in this tournament where they struggled to lock that down. You cannot give up that B site easily because if you just get rolled over on B, it is draining for you because it is so hard to retake that bomb site.
It really is. And Entropiq, well, they're currently in the better mindset. They're the team that feel like they've got this. They're confident in their own ability. They've proven they can dig deep and stay in the game. And in particular, we can never really sing the praises of Hooch enough, right? He's just in behind them. You heard him just before we hopped into it, hyping the team up. And you guys at home need to be hyped as well because it's the last map of this best of 5. It is confirmed to be this final map of Dust 2. Gambit starting on the CT side, Entropiq on the T side. Will they pull off the reverse sweep and break the hearts of Gambit in an event they are favored to win? Lackey's fighting towards underpass early in the lower tunnel, and he is caught by Hobbit, who's off to a flying start. 2 headshots and the bomb down.
2 in quick succession. They seem to line up for Hobbit. Finally, the flash comes back, and Forrester can close the distance, but there are still CTs close by, and Hobbit eventually run down, but there's the trade.
Yeah, quick trade. The problem that Gambit struggled with was just getting those trades in quickly enough, making sure they close down that space. Then Entropiq gained early. They've done that this time around.
Crad trying to find any way back in will decide to go out towards A long. It's the clock of Elian facing down mid. Maybe not the best idea right now. Krat's still looking for something over on A, and he's found that frag. Back to a 2-on-3, but they still need more, and Krat's been dealt with.
And Nafany with the headshot domes him and getting hyped. There's Nafany with that classic hype that he usually brings to the team, but there was none of that. There was nothing to get hyped about in the last map, but you could see just coming into this, they look mentally reset. They look like they're coming into this. They've had a few minutes outside to take a breather, take some fresh air, get back into this and just realize this is essentially a best of 1 now. It's down to 1 map. Yes, you're being exhausted, having to play all the other maps and mentally fatigued perhaps, but at the end of the day, it does come down to 1 map in this best of 5 now.
Absolutely. It's a map of Dust 2 with €150,000 on the line.
Unreasonable, isn't it?
Terrifying.
Just unreasonable. Well, Hobbit with the headshot. It started off the round well here for Gambit. And that's Crad out. But really the hero of the previous map was Nickelback. Just absolutely monstrous. He'll be looking to try and do the same here on Dust 2. Nafany with the lineup, gets 2 on the UMP. Nickelback trades it out with the Glock, but should be easy pickings for Inters, and it certainly will be. Well, what other than Dust 2 for a CIS best of 5, okay? It's a classic map to close it out for the CIS region.
Makes a lot of sense. It's nice seeing Inters there, just being a bit confident, just to tap away at those players. Knew he had the good opportunity to lock that round in. And Shiro gets an early opportunity to have the AWP in his hands. If he wants to prove he is the superstar on this team, he needs to step up on this final map. And already those changes coming into play on Dust 2, the lower tons aggression, and Nafany's just landed a banger down mid.
Solid shot from Nafany. Shiro's followed up as well as Forrester's down early in the round. Gambit given a 2-man advantage. Shiro's going to peek into mid and looking for more. He's a player that's just disappeared in this final. Maybe they found him. Ooh. Now, Dust 2 would be a great map for an offer like Shiro to try and step up and try and deliver some impact. Hobbit being picked up by Lack. He was traded out quickly by Nafany. Again, this 2-man advantage siding with Gambit into this gun round has kept him afloat. And that bomb has to be picked up. And Entropiq still have a lot of time left. And these are the kind of rounds that they were losing, actually, Gambit over on Mirage. I don't know if they're going to be able to lose this one, though. Entropiq have a very difficult road ahead of them.
This A-long fight is everything. If Nickelback wins that, then the round could start to become uncomfortable. But Axar wins it. That fight against Nickelback works out. And Crad has it all to do.
Yeah, Crad walking his way through short. He's got the AK in his hand. Had an incredible performance earlier today in this series.
It's the AWP waiting for him, though.
Yeah, he's got a flash available. He's got another one just in his back pocket. But you peek into the AWP of Shiro without flashing him off, you better hope you're hitting a lightning fast headshot. Sure, unable to pick up a kill, and Krad trying to force the AWPer back. He's forcing him into a more recessive position, but further down long he has teammates, and the rotation comes in from CT. 3 rounds for Gambit early on the board.
And a cool detail in that round is that Nafany uses that scout down mid early just to look for that first fight, just to make sure Shiro can get into lower tunnels. This was that shot he landed, and then later in the round, he actually just went back to spawn and switched out for his M4 that he had the whole time. So that's a really cool way of just using that scout, which you had carried over anyway, to get a bit of impact early in the round. And early in this map, Entropiq wanting to take a timeout. We've seen both of these teams use their tactical timeouts whenever they feel like they need to have a say. Hooch wants to make sure this game doesn't slip away too quickly.
Yeah, I want to get them on the board early. You can't let Gambit get that momentum rolling, especially on a map like Dust 2. You know, it is a cliche momentum, but it's certainly something on Dust 2 that can kick in. A factor if you're winning rounds and the systems are working, everything, the aggression, the confidence, the comms, everything can lead up into this perfect system. You've got to try and disrupt that. That is the key for Entropiq. That's what Kasad and Yanko said ahead of the first map win over on Overpass, was Entropiq need to be disruptive. Well, let's see if they can keep doing that. Just be disruptive all over the board. Stop Gambit from getting comfortable. This round, though, not too much going into it for Entropiq Hoka.
Yeah, just the pistols for the most part. But something else that was pointed out by Kasad over on the desk is that the mid to B splits were fairly effective for Big in that matchup. I wouldn't mind seeing Entropiq test that out here and see what that B hold looks like here.
Yeah, I mean, Entropiq are certainly a team that will have watched that game fully and made notes on it. They're one of the hardest working teams we've got at this event right now. So certainly will have gleaned that information to see if it will work for them. Catwalk executes could often be effective here, Hawkeye, getting bomb plants.
Yeah. Instead of using something that you would normally use to win a round in later gun rounds, you go for this instead, but Hobbit fighting on the front foot.
Yeah, well, Hobbit's done well to pick up the first and the follow-ups in for Hobbit. 3 kills as he shuts down the attempted attack from short into the bomb site. Entropiq will not be getting there safely.
Those drops down could well have been heard by Nafany, who's playing close to the mid doors. No response from the CTs though, so there is a world in which the shot lands onto Inters and maybe a bomb plant comes through.
Problem is the angle that Inters is holding is very hard to clear out these barrels. Especially with the weapons they've got, they've just got to be so unbelievably quick to the head.
Yeah, it's got to be the scout shot, probably.
And Inters is just in a good spot. He'll spot out the first. That's an easy kill for him and swings in for the second. Gambit kill 4-0. Not too much was expected, really, from that round. I mean, Entropiq would have liked to have got a bomb plant, but at the end of the day, they're always focusing on this upcoming gun round.
The rounds so far have been clean for Gambit, though. Look at the kill counts for Entropiq. Yeah. 1 kill on 4 players.
And that's going to ease the nerves of Gambit a little bit as well. I mean, these young players, they know what the pressure is going to be outside. You know, looking at this matchup, probably already even taking it to this point. So you just got to focus up, ease the nerves, and come into this game.
Ooh, that boost down mid allows you to see that cross, and Nafany takes damage because of that. Down to 24 health before even getting to his bomb site. Long being contested early for Gambit. They've got that control.
The only team that completed a reverse sweep versus Gambit this year has been Na'Vi. Obviously, it was the bane of their existence for most of this year, trading blow for blow. I think Gambit have now started to drop off, and an event win like this could give him a bit more confidence, but in the fashion that we've had to go to this 5th map, Gambit are just going to feel relief, I'm sure, if they win this event, but Entropiq are certainly a team that'll feel like it's theirs at the moment. Nickelback and Forrester clearing through short, Lackey in behind. They've got their default control. This is what you want again in your default on the T side of Dust 2, just short control.
Yeah, standard map control taken. Now you can line up these smokes if you want to. Hobbit's got the palm tree flash at the ready. It's really hard to dodge that. It's hard to see that flash coming.
Well, Forrester's clearly got glasses. He dodged it, and now is pushing forward. Shiro with the first pick, bomb down. Initial kills here from Gambit are starting to look good. This is rough for Entropiq. They haven't really got too much fragging output at all. Where's it gone? Where's the kills here for Entropiq? They're just not happening. They're just not bringing down players at all. And Gambit are going to feel great about this as Inter starts to flank to the mid doors. Crowd is held around the backside. You can't afford to let your individuals cool off here. You need them to start fragging almost immediately. And a missed shot from Ellie in the flank will come through from Axel. 5-0 for Gambit. And for Entropiq, it has not been the cleanest of starts at all. The engines have cooled for some reason.
And this is going to allow Gambit to start to feel like themselves again. We were saying earlier, it did not feel like the same Gambit we're used to seeing. Now with a strong start, they have that opportunity to gain the confidence that honestly looked like it was stolen away from them previously. And Hobbit's just doing such a good job in that goose position. They can never flush him out of that angle. And that is a kill you just have to get as you approach that A-bomb site. His counter flash seemed to work really nicely on that player that was getting up close towards him. Shiro only had to land one shot on the cross with the AWP. Didn't even have to do too much.
We'll see what the idea is here for Entropiq. Looking at the weapons they've got, they're back down to a similar round where it's just scouts, a couple of upgraded pistols, a few pieces of utility here and there. Again, goal here is to try and get a bomb plant, try and inflict some damage onto that CT economy, because look at it, Hawka. Look at how much money they've got here for Gambit, because you touched on the point earlier. These rounds have been clean for Gambit. That's going to build the CT economy up. They're going to be deadly for round after round after round. For Entropiq, this is a good round for them to try and take some of that cash and throw it into the bin.
Smoke for the doors this time from Gambit, because they know there's potentially a scout in play. One of the few ways Entropiq could have a chance in this round is by getting that pick on the cross. So they play it safer this time, which I think is a good adaptation.
Hobbit was holding towards mid doors. Just drop back into the B ramp. Oh, Nickelback was attempting to mount the Xbox. They're just keeping it slow here in Entropiq. It looks like a final B play will come through, and right now with this setup, it's going to be difficult for them to get anywhere near the site. Enters alongside his friend Nafni in behind him. They've got the utility in place. They've got everything ready for what surely should be a shutdown on this B attack. Enters will be the first player tested. He's done well. 2 kills for him. Hobbit with the itchy and Nafni with a follow-up kill. It's just Elian held behind with the scout. And again, another clean round for Gambit. Not a single kill yet gleamed for Entropiq. Damage will be inflicted on towards Nafni, who's forced back. But for Gambit, no death. And extra money now just flowing through the bank accounts.
Hobbit has Shiro behind him, but doesn't even need him. Hobbit has been looking good here on Dust 2. And honestly, after getting shut down on a bunch of these A plays earlier, that felt like a round that was maybe a bit too easy for Gambit to predict, because they had Hobbit this time not playing committed to the A site, but in and around those mid doors, ready to rotate over to B if needed. The counter utility was there. Entropiq don't fake out anything towards A early enough, and someone needs to step up for Entropiq right now. They only have 1 kill max on any of these players as they go for the long play.
Nafni throws down the Molotov straight away, forced it through, but Nafni's got the opening and the follow-up. A horrible start to the round from Entropiq. They tried to be explosive towards long, but Nafni's taking both.
Gambit had 4 players stacked on long. They're just getting all the right reads right now. This is the response from Elian, though. He saw that long presence, so he's going to try and cut off the rotation.
Well, he's holding for it. Really gotta hope that he can get something here. Elian yet to get a kill. The only player on his team that's yet to post a frag.
And again, they just don't give him that opportunity. Now they have to try something at B.
He's got to get back. He's got to get the bomb back, and there's a little bit of an aggressive play from Axel. The bomb is still towards long. Elian has to try and take down Axel, and even now, 4 players still on the server. Oh, this is just horrible for Entropiq. This is starting to become an absolute disaster. They've had timeouts. Lots of them already used. They've had buy rounds now. They've tried different things. This is starting to become very scary. Gambit are honed in, and this is where they start to forget about some of their woes. Just focus on getting this one done, and they are in prime position to do so. Again, Shiro very vocal.
5 kills for the entire Entropiq team in 7 rounds total. It has just not been a contest here. The early long control is denied, and Gambit are also doing a great job at denying any opportunities in these 3v5s and these disadvantageous positions. We saw Entropiq win some of those on the previous maps, but you see there, ahead of time, they're ready for the AWP to be posted on mid. They smoke him off. They don't give him the opportunity. The B players are ready for that plan B that they knew Entropiq might go for. There are just no openings right now. And as soon as the round starts badly, you just feel like it's going to continue to tumble.
And you talk about the fragging output for Gambit. You look at Inter's 8-0. Nafni's just had an unbelievable start to the round, just cutting off all these choke points, stifling the aggression of Entropiq, making it so difficult for them to create some space. And Gambit have done a very good job at preventing that. Entropiq are down once again to a similar buy because they're not getting bomb plants, Hulker. They just can't keep buying. They've got to go for these half buys time and time again. And they only get one crack at the whip when it comes to gun rounds before they're forced back down to one of these.
The mid-control is something different. Finally, Entropiq finds some ground early in a round where they don't lose a player. But here comes Nafany sneaking down below and taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, good little peek out. Nafany's taking a lot of damage indeed. Could have been an opening, but they haven't found that. And finally they'll get an opening pick. Axel's head is removed from his shoulders. We'll see if they can do anything with this Entropiq, because yes, they found an opening kill. It's gone unanswered, which is really the first time this has happened. But they don't have the weapons, Hulker. They just don't have the weaponry. They've just got to hope they can find more. Hobbit will start to hold off the aggressive play into Cat. Lackey can't follow up through the smoke, so they're now trying to go into the B site. They've got to check the back plat. Nafany's just hiding with his head tucked down. If they're looking for the doors play, Intra's about to come through, and now the information picked up for Nafany, but Elian held it. He held the peek up from Nafany, and that's a couple of kills now for Entropiq. Shiro and Hobbit into the 2v3.
They've left the bomb behind, though, so the bomb still has to cross to the site, and they don't have the nades for that. That could give the CTs a potential chance back into this.
Yeah, but Force just found a better weapon here. He's got an M4A1S he's picked up off the back of Platt. Was in the hands once of Nafany, but now he is the owner as Hobbit charges through with a Tech 9. Trying to get those close fights, pulls out the AK again. Shiro's turn to try and create some space back into this. Smoke goes out towards the door, but Shiro is caught, and Hobbit is now flanked in the tunnels. He'll be taken down, and Entropiq win with some weaker weaponry.
That pick out along from Lackey was really important, just keeping the pressure across the map. And also the presence of mind from Elian there to just be holding that back plat position. So important there that Entropiq don't just really focus on finding that one pick onto Hobbit, who was playing in the doors. They knew there had to be a player somewhere on the site, and they wait for Nafany to pop up. And it's also potentially a read because they landed that tag earlier. They realized Nafany would try and just tuck down in an unexpected position. Here comes the early long control, and finally, Entropiq able to gain some ground early, something they've struggled to do so far.
And they're boosting Shiro up for the peek down in towards tunnels. Now, Shiro is actually a player that hasn't had that same blistering start as some of his teammates.
This is what you can do with this boost now, though.
Yeah.
If you don't spot anyone, Nafany can just push in behind it.
Yeah, with the changes as well towards the top of the map, you can just push your way through the lower tunnels, and
oh, they're
starting
crunching
to
it.
come forward. They're going to lobby crunch, or should I say tunnel crunch. And here goes Nafany through the lower tunnels, catches them looking the wrong way. Nickelback with his back turned gets caught by Nafany, and that is now foiled the plans entirely of Entropiq. They're starting to drop back, but they've lost all the map control elsewhere. They've got a real difficult fight ahead of them, and Hobbit just peeks up from short, gets caught, and Lackey brings him down. Nafany with the immediate reply, though. They're making this just so uncomfortable for Entropiq. There's no chance for a plan B. There's no fallback plan at all.
They're just working together so well here, and again, it has to be a Hail Mary play back to the B site.
And now they're going to try and cut through some of the remaining players. Inters will be the first player they have to eliminate. They're trying to place the utility, but the CTs are throwing some of their own. And even Shiro getting involved now from outside of the doorway. 30 seconds, and Elian just stands no chance now in this 1v4. Gambit are being disruptive. This is their play style now. They're just cutting off all of the map control when Entropiq go too heavy towards one side of the map. So proactive from Gambit.
And the Gambit machine looked like it was breaking down on those previous maps, but finally, it's back to what we expect to see from them.
They turned it on and off again.
Exactly. That's how you fix most technical issues. That's how they fix this one. The team play and timings are so much better. Look at the way that Hobbit and Nafany are able to play together here. The lower tunnels aggression initially with Inters pays off for them. They get away with the one kill. Then Hobbit comes in up through short. They get another crossfire established. Everything looks so much better for Gambit. Entropiq with just one round so far. Have another gun round available. They have to get something going here soon.
They've at least got to just start getting into sites and just feeling more comfortable, because they're just not really even getting into the sites at all. They're being prevented from doing that. Looks like Gambit have just put a giant wall up. Entropiq have not got the tools to break it down time and time again. They're even making it hard just to take short control. Even though they're not challenging it, they're just making it difficult.
I still think with the way Gambit is set up in most of these rounds, that mid to B split looks like a possibility. Those mid doors are oftentimes quite open early in the rounds, but Entropiq haven't tried that yet. It doesn't look like they're going to try it here either. Their attention is focused on A long right now. Axel was pushed all the way up close to those doors, but he may be tested.
Axel holds. First headshot is his. Nickelback, the first player to get downed. Player that was finding so much impact in the opening rounds over a Mirage, but this time silenced. 2 kills from Elian and Lackey. Did start to come through and positive signs began to show for Entropiq, but those have been removed from Gambit, and now the AWP of Elian really needs to start delivering some of this impact. It's got a good pick, and now it peeks down into CT. A lovely shot from Elian. Enters down, and he goes for more. Elian has to do it all now, and he will. 4K from Elian. He's showing up to the grand final in the final map with a huge round that might just kick some life into this Entropiq side.
They had no nades to cross. They had to have their AWP step up. That was the main win condition in that scenario. And finally, one of the Entropiq players steps up with a solo play. It's the AWP of Elian that comes in with the multi-kill. Gambit did such a good job at stopping that split initially too. They got all those kills onto the short players they needed, but it's not enough as Entropiq are able to save the round. Could that be the start of a spark of a comeback?
Well, they're starting to use Elian a little bit more, putting more pressure on him to step up and take those openings. He had a good spawn for long, so they sent him out for the peak. Couldn't get it done, and they've called it off now, Hawker. Could this be the B split? Players in tunnels haven't taken short control. Generally, you want to at least get cat control before you think about a B split. You don't want to be quickly flanked.
Ooh, I think they missed that hinge smoke. Makes the slightly more awkward. Wallbang back and forth, doing a little bit of damage. The early skirmishes not making a massive difference yet.
Hobbit just transitioning back over towards B ramp. A third player now on the hold for B.
This is the first time they've really 3B stacked like this, and it might be the round where Entropiq try and split the B site.
It's just lucky here for Entropiq, but they've made the right read here, Gambit. They've got the right positioning. Hobbit, the first player, perfect flash from Nafany, and 2 kills for Hobbit. There's still 2 players inside of the site as well here for Gambit. They've still got numbers. Let's see if this defense will hold water. In fact, it's a flood, and Nafany's come through the window to take Forrester out. Elian and Krad now 2 players just floundered and left alone. Krad does hit 1 headshot. Elian with a pick back, but again, it's just Elian on his own. This time on 2 HP, and he has to get a kill for each point of health he has.
And that is too much of a task for him. Gambit have had so many great reads here on this map. It seems like they always have an inkling as to what might be coming their way. In this round, they stacked towards the B site just in time. The flash was just so well done. They're the ones taking initiative as they flash Hobbit in for the early couple of kills. And then at that point, Entropiq just kind of faltered because they knew there were still 2 more CTs on the B site. They know that it's always Intez and Nafany playing towards B. So once you kill Hobbit, you realize you're kind of screwed. You realize you're running into a stack. They were hoping they could just stall it out and maybe wait for Gambit to make some mistakes, but that never happened. And Entropiq trying to compose themselves, but it is getting to that scenario now where they've taken their final pause.
And it's just not that the same energy in terms of what's been working for Entropiq. You know, Nickelback was getting a lot of entry kills, a lot of impact on Mirage. You know, anything he wanted to do, any aggressive play he made, generally it was working out. Generally, he was working those kills. But this reminds me more of Ancient, where they got stomped out, where Nickelback was trying to move his classic aggressive plays and just wasn't getting anything out of it. Gambit's protocols and utility usage was just too good for them to break through and really get away with the same stuff they were finding success with prior. It really feels very similar to that to me, where Gambit have pulled up their socks and realized, well, we got to win this event now. And they've just focused in completely heading into Dust 2. Entropiq have to change that. They have to find some life. And Elian might be the player to do it. Speaking into his long, again, just not getting anything out of it. Gambit have been very aware that they want to go for long picks. Just so good at not giving away any risks.
Yeah, especially in this sort of round. I think they've been really good when they know it's just maybe the one gun in play, that they don't need to give away a pick to a pistol, or it's actually Shiro's ult that finally gets to do something. He's just got 4 kills so far because everyone else has been doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, Krad realizes that he's usually the aggressive player, the one that gets them space, that makes that opening happen a lot of the time. He could be that player, but Krad, again, just not finding that success. He's 2-12 right now. Fragging output has died down completely. They're going to try and change that with a short run boost to try and offset the crosshair of the AWPer and put more pressure onto the rifle of Hobbit, but he stands strong. Wallbang from Elian has drawn the kill back, but Shiro still in position. Misses the shot actually onto the planter, so Lackey has slipped away with a bomb plant, if nothing else here for Entropiq. That's some money. And Elian now 1v4. With Nafany's nade confirming the kill on Lackey. He's got to hope he can play for this post plant. Bomb is planted for him, but he doesn't really have many chances. The utility isn't there for Gambit, so it's not like they're going to be able to force him back. They just got to use the crosshairs and the scopes just to keep him off the angle, keep him off the peak, and he wants to hang on to the AWP. He wants to just keep this into the next round. And the bomb plant will get some extra cash, and that's going to be a solid buy coming in for Entropiq in this next round, but he doesn't give away the AWP, so that's still there as well.
Something that Entropiq have been relying on whenever they have the chance. This was always going to be a long shot of a round. Run boost over the top. Hobbit had an extended spray. You're seeing the freedom that Hobbit has on this CT side to switch up his position whenever his team wants him to. He can go wherever he pleases. He's had rounds where he's rotated to B. He's had rounds where he's stuck on A. He always seems to be in the right spot. He's having a lot of impact here. This time, Hobbit's going aggressive up short.
Yeah, he's going to go very aggressive. It's caught by the flash kill of Forrester. And this is Quick now accelerating the pace up into short. Nafany thought he could catch the timing and try and get him behind the short play, but he's being held by Elian, which proves that it isn't the full commitment from Entropiq just yet. They've just got the position they want. And now the world is their oyster. They've got the chances, no matter where they go. They can decide where they want to hit in. If they go back to the B spot, there's only one player there.
I like the call from Entropiq to slow it down. Bit of nade damage done onto Lackey, down below half health, and here comes the B split.
Shiro's gonna get smoked off, Utility's gonna dump it behind him, and they have just isolated that one player. It is Inters who has it all to do on the B hold. They're coming in from window, they've even got players from tunnels, and Inters, oh, he's not able to get a single kill. Axel will try and help him. He has picked up one, but there's not much resistance being made here because they're just not in position. Finally, Entropiq get into the B side. They work the map in their favor. And some of the aggression from Gambit just doesn't exactly work out for them.
Yeah, I really like that call from Entropiq. After winning the early trades, they make sure that they don't get too over-eager, because if they commit to the A site there, they're going into the AWP of Shiro, they're going into a rifle alongside him, and you know it's most likely that that AWP of Shiro will be playing around that A site. Oftentimes, AWPers just love to play on towards long, watching towards short to take different angles as they fall back. So instead, they look at the players that have been removed from the round and they realize that they've got Nafany out of there. It's most likely that Intez is going to be alone towards B. So as long as they can get out through those mid doors, the B split is the right call. It's a third round win for Entropiq. This was the early moment. The flash was good. It's just perfect crosshair placement from Forrester. Then Nafany feels like he has to bring his team back on the mid aggression. And Entropiq aren't getting too ahead of themselves. They're making sure they're ready for those plays.
And if they can recover 5 rounds of this half, they definitely have a chance in the game. They can come back into it. We've seen it before, but they do need to get these last 2. There's another quick long play that's just been cancelled out by Gambit. Entropiq have just never won that fight.
They've struggled in a lot of these early fights so far, but it could open up a window towards short to take some control. They saw a lot of players stacked on long, so they look for this map control back. Problem is, Gambit do now have a solid hold established on the site. They have the rifle of Axel and the AWP of Shiro here to hold. So the nades need to be good, and they don't have the smokes for the proper execute.
Oh, and they've struggled trying to get that rifle off the site. Shiro not flashed off. It's a dry pick into him. They're very lucky not to have lost their life immediately there. Axel will follow it up, and the long play from Elian seemed desperate. And Hobbit puts him out of his misery. Headshot connected as he will slay the long play. And now we go under a minute. The 2 remaining players from Entropiq of Forrester and Lackey will have to try and find openings in towards this B site. And currently 2 players wait. Let's see if they're just lambs to the slaughter as Inters waits to decapitate 2 of them with the guillotine. He come on through as Forrester's at the ready. Again, there's another player at door that's just so unlikely to watch them come out of this because they're slow peeking into it. And Inters and Nafany will crucify both of them.
Both players win their respective fights. You can always just see Entropiq, after losing some of these early fights, going for plays to just try and pull them back into the round. But the early map control is always a key part of Dust 2, and so many of the early fights have gone against them. This was the play that felt so desperate to me. Walking up short, running out through long like this. You know there's likely an ult waiting on the other side. They still try the dry peek. Here comes Crad just running up mid, and here comes Forrester looking for a frag out long. Not able to find it, but at least they haven't lost a player this time.
Yeah, seems a little desperate here from Entropiq. Just trying to open up some rounds, just throwing some aggression. Crad in 2 rounds in a row now has just died immediately. He's just trying to create some space, be a battering ram. Just can't do it. He's not strong enough to break through right now. Gambit are holding on. They've got a fortress built up on the CT side. At least the trade did come through from Elliot. Nade is good as well here. Gambit, good utility usage, and Hobbit shutting down the play forward. This fortress is looking like Helm's Deep. It's almost impenetrable.
Hobbit again, just always so solid wherever he is on the map. Oftentimes around A, he's been locking it down.
Oh, even a little P250 shot would be enough to bring down the last player. 12-3 half. Gambit will lead the way on the last map of this grand final. It's been a huge turnaround from them, just a monumentous turnaround, really. You know, just being able to come in and reset completely mentally, getting a good start in the game. Entropiq have gone missing, Hawker. We need to put up the posters. We need to find them.
We need to find them soon, because otherwise this is over. Pistol round almost a must win at this point. I saw there finishing the job.
Let's see if we can get anybody on that line, but 12-3 Entropiq trail significantly. And with a pistol win here, Gambit might just be charging with a full head of steam towards a championship title here at V4.
They've done it the long way.
Oh, the scenic group for sure. Yeah, they like all the maps. They've seen all the maps today, Hawker, really. Just missing out a little bit of Nuke and Inferno.
It's been a good bounce back for them, but they still have to close it here. And we've seen them struggle when win streaks start to go against them. So they could really love to just win this pistol and make a statement right now. Ooh. They have the 2 smokes for the cross, and Nickelback's already low.
Yeah, just a real tough spot to be in for him. He's going to try and stick around. And they're swinging in towards him, the Molotov into car as well, and Nickelback just under so much pressure. He's still alive somehow. Well, actually, I say somehow, but they've got Glocks, Hawker. They've got Glocks. It takes a long time to charge your way through with the Glocks to get that kill. And that time has certainly allowed more players to arrive to the car instead. And they have just gone to the slaughter. Shiro and Axel with 2 quick kills. And that has opened up the round completely for Gambit. Just Lackey and Crad. And they might just be lacking a round win here.
That car has been shot the hell up. As the approach comes into this A-bomb site.
Yeah, send it
the other
scrap.
CTs are trying to respond. They've heard about the shooting, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything about it.
We'll try. They're just kind of understaffed right now in this attempt. Axel with good headshot on towards Lackey. It's just Crad left alone. 1 pick for him. At least getting a few kills added to the tally for his personal score, but Shiro with the Pucci 50 has locked it out. 13-3 now. 3 rounds away from Gambit taking the win here at V4 Future Sports Festival. And for Entropiq, they've got to do it the hard way now to come back into the game. They did that to bring it to map 5. We thought the reverse sweep might come through, but Gambit have delivered. They will not be denied today, it seems. Entropiq have to be defiant to be able to pull this back.
They have decided to force this one up. They could have maybe saved one and got some premium rifles into the next. They would rather just have a chance to break Gambit's economy right now. They think that's their best opportunity of coming back into this game. Gambit don't want to take any early risks in this one, which means that Entropiq have been allowed to establish long control. It's Nickelback who's pushed up close to those doors. Still plenty of utility for Gambit, though, if they want to try and fight for this control.
Ooh, Nickelback is getting tagged down through the door. Not too much damage to worry about, though, but it's certainly the short play. Should be working out for Nafany. Mac 10 in onto Crad, brings him down, and, well, Entropiq really need now just to kill and shut down Nafany. They've done that. Deagle of Forrester looking to stop this Gambit side from pulsating through the defense. They don't really have the equipment to deal with it, though, if Gambit were to crunch on them from 2 sides. And Axel might just provide that, but Nickelback, so patient in the same position, has upgraded his 5.7 to an AK-47. And now they're looking for the play to the B side. They have a chance here, Gambit, if they can get into the timing. And, oh, Winters is so ready for Forrest to come through the smoke. And that is going to work out. 2 kills quickly from Shiro and Inters. And now they go back to 8. They have a 1 versus 3 fight no matter where they go now.
They're going to make the most of it. Alien has got the scout on the hole, but he's looked away at the wrong time, and Hobbit can now start to sneak up to the site.
Oh, Elliot gets caught, flicks back, and he's able to do some damage there. A second shot onto the site, but Lackey is now the last remaining player down inside of CT spawn. This Gambit player is looking to eliminate him. The demonic look in their eye. Hobbit with the headshot. 14 rounds. Nafany getting loud now. 2 rounds left, and this is just far better from Gambit, not only just from a performance, but just emotional reactions as well. Just see the energy in the team is back, and for the first time, it looks like Entropiq have gone a little silent, and you can't really blame them, Hawker. This is going to be a frustrating loss if they lose like this.
And even in this scenario, on the previous maps, you wonder whether Gambit would have just let this slip, whether they'd have just committed into that A site. But here they realize they can afford to just pump the brakes, they have the advantage, and again, it has to be another force buy for Entropiq. They're so far down, they just have to keep on buying whatever the hell they can. But they are just consistently on their last legs with these buys. A couple of digs, a scout, there's a single FAMAS in there. Similar start to the round for Gambit, making sure they don't give anything away early.
Oh, Crad gets caught. Nafany, his MAC-10 is just charging through them time and time again. The flash will go through the mid doors. Gambit still just very comfortable once they get that opening pick. They're fine just slowing it down, Hawker. They know they've got the map in their hands. They can manipulate it no matter what way they want. They'll throw that hinge smoke up that allows safe access to Xbox yet again.
Ooh, not a bad shot from Alien. Does a bit of damage onto Inters. A couple of players on this A site. The time is running down here as this rotate comes into A for Entropiq. They've given themselves the best possible chance to try and do something from this 4v5. The smokes are at the ready into the A site.
And Forcer's got a hold. All the weight of this round is on his little shoulders alongside Alien beside him.
Gambit aren't committing.
Yeah, they're not committing at all. They throw in utility, but they're dropping back because they want to go into a B play, and there's no one watching CT. This information needs to be passed on, and look at Lackey, so confused. He's so discombobulated, wondering how this has happened. Hobbit brings him down. 3 players left for the CT side. Entropiq just don't have the numbers here.
It's just a completely different team showing up here on this final map for Gambit. Every single late round decision is now correct. Every single time they're not getting ahead of themselves. They are winning the early fights and then making their opponents pay thereafter. 14-3 down. Entropiq, bless them. They're just trying to save what they can.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's like a couple of pennies at the bottom of their piggy bank. And Nafany's looking to smash it and take them all. Alien will prevent that from happening. Nafany will go down. And 15 rounds now locked in for Gambit as they are just 1 round away from taking this best of 5 and the championship title here at the V4 Future Sports Festival in Budapest.
This is an important sign from Gambit that they can stay resilient here in this best of 5, showing us that they can win on this final map. We heard the Des point out earlier, they have sometimes struggled when it's gone the distance, when it's come down to that battle of endurance. Sometimes the fundamentals can look lacking, but here on Dust, everything has been played perfectly. Entropiq never even had a chance to slightly open that door, and Gambit are taking the time out.
Well, Hawker, they did say they wanted a lot of experience coming into this event. Well, they've experienced as many maps as they could. Elimination game on day 1, they had to play all the best of 3s, and now every single map in the best of 5, and a tactical timeout in possibly the last round. So they really are enjoying themselves as much Counter-Strike as possible, soaking up the experience possibilities.
Entropiq have at least got a couple of M4s into Galil, but we are clutching at straws right now. You even look at the scoreboard. Alien's the only player who's done anything here on this map. 13 kills for him. Looking down mid with the scout, desperately hoping someone will face him. But Gambit have never given away these early opportunities, so Alien might try and take it away from them. Ends up ducking back through the doors.
Methodically clearing out the lower tunnel, clearing out the close boxes. Hobbit is going to set himself up with that smoke again into the hinge. Just slow default here from Gambit. Just cooling the nerves with the timeout before. Just wanting to take this over the line. Entropiq are starting to send players back over towards this A site. Nafany's got the opening here for Gambit.
Forrester has to respond with the player towards the B side of the map. Out of there, he goes over to cover off B. They have got a player pushed into long doors, which may make them feel more comfortable. They can leave A open, but now the molly forces that man back. Still 55 seconds for Gambit.
Yeah, just so methodical from Gambit. Not really giving Entropiq any chances for the element of surprise. And now they're looking to try and get up in short. They're just putting pressure. Now he's getting shot up through the double doors. Has taken damage himself. He's in the lower tunnels. Shot from Elian lands and damage inflicted on short. Gambit's starting to run out of time. 35 seconds left. Looks like the B play is about to come through.
Finally making up their minds in the late round, as you would expect. One smoke left for Inters.
Yeah, that means they're not going to be able to deal with Nickelback. And Axel will certainly deal with Nickelback. Headshot in. Nickelback down, and now they turn their attentions in towards the tunnels play. Forrester with everything on his shoulders, and he stands strong. Inters and Hobbit down. Finally, Nafny trades him out, and the AK switched out too as well. Gambit had the advantage. They had the advantage, but Krad and Elian taking the kills back. It's just Shiro left now, and this would be the way to close it. Shiro with a clutch. He's been quiet all final long, and it's Entropiq who just haven't won the round on time. Shiro just couldn't get the follow-up, couldn't get the pick, and Entropiq with 4 now on the board.
He had to try and force the fight if he wanted a chance at the end there, but maybe with the flash couldn't figure that out entirely. These are those early kills. You think the round is done, but Forrester, 4 kills all game long, knew he had to take initiative, and then Elian able to land that shot on the cross. Entropiq just about keep themselves alive. Able to stop that late round B play, but maybe Gambit will close it out with something grouped up here. They're grouping up for the B play.
They're just going to rush it straight through. Forrester's M4 is not going to be able to hold. It gets overrun, and Axel charging forward with intent. Takes down Forrester and Lackey in a foul swoop. Hobbit holds off the mid play, and Elian being caught out. Surely this is it now for Gambit. They go back in Krad. The last 2 remaining plays for Entropiq. They've got to take back the B site. And it's just not looking doable. Krad comes through the lower tunnels. They're watching even for that. Axel, the man, the start of the round, has Hobbit to hold back from spawn side. Just one more kill, and they have done it. For the first time ever with this 5, they lift a trophy on land. Finally, they get a championship with this roster on a LAN event, Hawker. All of their successes have been online, and they call them onliners. Certainly, I think they have a lot of work still to do on LAN, but they've at least got an event under their belt moving forward. And hopefully for this Gambit roster, the first of many to come.
That was always what Gambit came into this event looking for. They knew they were the favorites. You could see it start to get to them as this grand final went on. They started to slip through their fingers, but they pulled themselves together for Dust 2 for the final map to take it home.
And it's a massive performance from Entropiq as well. Commiserations to the side who come so close to pulling off the reverse sweep. Teams struggle doing that, Hawk. Historically, it's hardly ever happened. The reverse sweep is just so difficult to make happen at a best of 5. A true test of endurance, and Entropiq have shown as positive signs for this future. But for tonight, it is Gambit. And will be the team happy with the celebrations. They did get that experience. They were able to come to LAN. I'm sure they've learned a lot. I mean, they've lost to some teams far down the rankings. Enterprise coming in with the win. Fiend able to take a best of 1 win against them as well. I mean, this is definitely not being the cleanest of events for Gambit, but it will be a little sigh of relief from them coming into today. I'm sure they will still have criticism in the fashion that it was done in, but Gambit's certainly going to be happy about taking this win.
And whenever you have a best of 5 like this, you know you've got to exchange the handshakes. There's a lot of love shown between these guys. They know each other well. And Entropiq are that next team that I think a lot of people have their eye on from this region. And this was certainly a game where they proved to us what they can do. They showed us that they have got that solid fragging roster across the board. Even if it doesn't show up on the final map, the fact that they do so well, definitely a great sign for this team. And I'm sure in the moment, it's never going to feel good as a competitor. But they'll watch back this final and they will be impressed with some of those map wins, especially that overpass. Yeah. They just came in and they played so free and with such confidence. And that's rare for teams that haven't had that much experience under these circumstances.
Yeah, and I think it's going to sting a little more the fact that you were able to pull off overpass, you're able to pull off Mirage, and you head into what is going to be a Dust 2 do or die, all or nothing scenario, and you just don't get off to a start at all. You just aren't able to pick it up, and it is disheartening to see it from the Entropiq side, but they are our runners-up. They will be getting their silver medals. And Hawker, this team certainly have a future. Look how many people are there. This team has just got so much support staff around them. So much work goes into putting this roster together. You know, after the major, they come in to play straight to a boot camp. They don't take breaks. They just play Counter-Strike time and time again. But here are the silver medals going out, presented by Balázs Kiel, VP of Esports. Miller providing all of the silver medals to our runners-up here.
It's Esports special. You got to go with the fist bumps instead of the handshake.
Yeah.
And this was a team, remember, that weren't really sure what their future was going to be at one point. They weren't sure about what organization they were going to get themselves under. They were just having to grind whatever the hell they could, any tournament they could. They come into this and now finish second place above some really solid invited teams, some surprising teams that came through even from some of the regions we weren't expecting. They've done a really good job to get to this point. And even the second place medal, I'm sure, is something they hopefully can be proud of.
Yeah, certainly so. And, you know, Hooch is still keeping the spirits high for the sides. You know, it is going to be a sore feeling right now for them in terms of the emotions they'll be feeling. But you know, there is lots to get excited about for this Entropiq side for the future. And getting a silver medal at this kind of event when you're going up against number 3 in the world, who you have historically never really had a great head-to-head matchup against, it's a great performance out of them.
And Hooch, as you said, someone who has been there before and realizes this project still has a long more way to go.
He's had a lot of losses, but he'll know how to deal with it, and that's the experience that will be so important to help out with some of the youngsters. And speaking of youngsters, Gambit no longer with that title, and he'll land under their belt. I mean, this is obviously one of the events that is meant to be a confidence booster for Gambit. I don't know if this is so much going to be that in terms of confidence moving forward, but certainly at least they popped the cherry. You know, they've got the LAN win under the belt. They've been able to get that experience, test the map, pull out, and see that, okay, these are the weaknesses we need to work on. And I feel like this is getting very exciting now. Well, here they are, the champions of the V4 Future Sports Festival 2021. It is Gambit who have taken the title here. Their first ever with this roster. There's 5 on LAN. And they will start to feel the pressure off of their shoulders now, Hawker, as the gold medals will be presented to them. Balázs Biro, president of Esports Miller, providing the gold medals to the champions of the event.
And even if it wasn't as clean as they would have wanted, they have shown something else here. They've shown that grit to be able to come through at the end of that best of 5 and be able to bounce back, be able to get into a scenario where you are under pressure, you have to come back, and you're able to do so. And to an extent, that is the championship mindset. Even when you're not playing at your best, you have to be able to bounce right back. You have to be able to grind out those results. And that's what this will feel like to them, and that's what they've done here.
Yeah, it certainly has been. The trophy sits behind them. I wonder if they'll attempt to lift it up. I think they might need their manager to help them out with that, but it's a huge trophy that sits behind the Gambit players, and a huge accomplishment coming in from the side as well as Gambit. I was just super happy with the result, and you can see just the relief on their shoulders and their faces. And we have got one last award to give out. We have a lot to give out here. It is going to be Shiro, the MVP of the event. Who else as they get the win? Massive performance, and of course being presented by Pasha Biceps, CSGO legend and ambassador of V4 Future Sports. And Shiro, very well deserved. Did go missing in the final for a little while, but throughout the entire competition was just leading in stat categories all over the show, was able to take massive ratings throughout this entire event. There's no one else that really deserves this other than Shiro at this event, Volker.
He had so many impressive moments, so many clutch rounds, so many massive moments throughout. Definitely a deserved MVP.
And here they go, taking to the trophy. Gambit are the champions of the V4 Future Sports Festival 2021. The heroes and champions in Budapest.
Кто-то должен снизу поднимать, кто-то по бокам. По бокам. Давай, по бокам возьмите черный. Это черный. Сука, он прям, он снимает.
And there you have it. Gambit are the champions, but it was certainly no easy task, and not an easy task to lift the trophy either, you know?
You know, James, there's a lot of debate about like best of 5 finals and whether it's worth it. We had some great ones throughout history,
and this
right?
wasn't it.
And this one wasn't it, mate. Like, thanks for stealing away the punchline.
Because I was just like waiting, like, no, yeah.
He's just in a
I was
rush.
waiting for 6 hours.
He's just in a rush. But yeah, unfortunately, you know, it's been a pretty one-sided, I mean, final in general. First it was Gambit, then it was Entropiq. And in the end, at least we got what we wanted, right? Like, we were worried for Gambit. A lot of times they run out of gas in these best of 5s. Not this time, right? They showed up, all guns blazing on the final map. Entropiq had 5 kills in 7 rounds. Like, it was just sheer domination from Gambit early on. And, you know, at that point, mentally, you could tell, like, the game is pretty much over.
Similar to that trophy lifting, they needed all 5 people to actually win that 5th map, and I think they did it almost perfectly. Everybody was on point on their own positions. Even Yanko mentioned at the beginning that the weak side is probably the B side of the city, and they stopped like a couple of you know, B splits and B pops like relatively easily, and that kind of sparked up for Exile on long as well, stopping the long pushes. It's not like Entropiq did something bad. They didn't win their fights, right? But they used the spawns, they did correct executions, pops, they tried everything, but it just didn't work.
That's the problem in this new Dust 2. If you lose all the early fights on longest team and you're trying to get out, it's just going to be a really, really difficult T side that you're going to have to play. And Gambit made some great reads as well. They opened up 4A, the round where Entropiq wanted to rush out long A, right? And they were just shutting them down, all the moves that they were trying to go for.
And there was another round, I think you pointed out when we were in the green room, when finally gets 2 kills at long A, and then just runs back to B and gets 2 more kills there. You're like, he was just controlling the map himself.
Yeah, because he's the B player. They just opened up 4A, it was a read, and got 2 kills here. They're gonna see my name, right? They might try to just go fast B. I'll go back there to support Inters and gets 2 more kills.
It's usually when the B player gets the long spawn, he runs first and he gets it. The thing with the long spawns is like, once the T is used, like 1 or 2 days they get stopped, it's like even after you get it later, you don't really use it because you're hesitant. That's something that the IGL needs to learn like a long time to kind of keep calling when you get the spawn. But, you know, like I said, Entropiq played a decent T-half in terms of like what they tried to do. Yeah. Like the proper execution, the shots were not coming because Gambit had the reads, got the plays proper, and we saw the score at the end.
Now, Gambit did take the win, but we've got to touch on Entropiq, right? To even make it to the grand final is a big achievement for this team. Still a new team on the rise up there. But what do you make of this grand final in the end, and just them being able to pick up the 2 maps they did? Is this more from what you saw down to Gambit, or can you give Entropiq a bit of credit alongside it?
I think they definitely deserve the credit. I mean, even though you could tell, you could say that Gambit was starting to slow down a little bit. I mean, you still need to win the rounds and win the maps, and they did so in a more or less convincing fashion. I mean, Mirage for sure, right? So they had a great tournament all around. I think, as Kassad pointed out, they're in this healthy upwards trajectory. They're developing in a nice way, and it just takes like a bit more time, right, to have more experiences like this.
This LAN final and losing to Gambit in a best of 5 is just gonna add to their personal growth, right? As a team, as individuals, it has to go that way.
It wasn't even like 2 months ago that Gambit beat them 16-0, 16-4. Like, you know, they just come a long way, even when you look at that particular match.
Hopefully they get some time to rest. Maybe they have a game after this one.
Or they have one on Tuesday, we found out.
That's good.
They get day off.
Hopefully there's some time to just mentally reset after this process, what happened last week, you know, how they played, what needs to be improved, what they need to keep doing well as well. So just a little bit of a break and then need to go into the next one, and probably like that's going to be the end of the season for them. But overall year is very much successful. Yeah, positive ending for sure for these guys. We're going to take a look just at the final placings we had here across the entire tournament for all of you guys at home. And well, we got our top 2. We've just been speaking about in Gambit and Entropiq. Big, the 3rd to 4th, losing out to Gambit. It's not the end of the world, and their Fiend, Enterprise showing us some actual good games. Movistar Riders are kind of now just
going to have question marks around them until we see them at the next big tournament and just see what they can do?
Yeah, they have to show us which is the real movie star. The
Yeah.
one here or the one we saw from the IM Fall and the major, and also, Davi G, he was one of the worst performers out of the whole tournament. So whether it was a one-off or, is that somewhere they're going to need to look at during the off-season, right, to maybe find an upgrade in the Spanish scene. Those are some of the question marks for movie star riders.
Yeah, similarly to them, like they need to take some time off to figure out what went wrong.
Yeah.
Same as AGO, but they had to look at it a little bit deeper, I guess.
Maybe we can go to the Polish team, you merge AGO and Whistler together and you try and find a super Polish team in some sense of it. Because they seem to have got enough players in there, right? And you guys mentioned the fact there's good coaches alongside for the Polish team, ones with lots of experience. You kind of just need to build it up in the right way.
Yeah, the problem is they just can't make it work in their scene. Hades and Dicha, two of the best players, are in an international team. Trust me, every player would prefer to be in their native team where they can speak their mother tongue as well. It's just way easier. So that just tells you they didn't feel like there were opportunities to mix and match players, or it just wasn't possible, and that they would be better off in an international team like that.
I would really love to see someone like Neo or Taz become like a coach or some sort of a main guy in an organization that can try to lead those guys, walk them through all the processes, because those guys are smart. And they had all this experience behind them, all these titles. They're just the big names. Yeah. And
Neo is a great guy to work with.
And leadership personalities, especially Taz, right? He was the IGL of that Golden 5 team for a long, long time, and he knows how to communicate to players. He knows what needs to be done, and maybe that's a role for him to rise up the Polish scene, because the players are obviously there. We saw it in Ence, we hear it now in AGO, even though they played, not so great this event. So there are more than a few Polish players that can rise up. You just need a proper leader, I guess.
Well, we've got to the end of the show. We've crowned our champion. So we'll start with you, Kasad. Any final closing thoughts other than the fact you want to drive home?
Actually, Janko is the one driving. I'm just going to be enjoying the ride. But it was a really lovely event, really chill atmosphere. I was happy to be here. Hungary is very close to Serbia, and lovely country. Budapest is a great city, so thanks everyone that was kind of supporting us.
Yeah, I think it was great. This tournament is a great blueprint how you can develop the local scene and give a chance for to showcase that talent, while also being a competitive tournament and having some good established teams. I think on a final note, for Gambit, I think there's still going to be people who are going to criticize them for the manner in which they won. They dropped 2 maps, it should have been more convincing. But they're just kids, man, right? They're just young guys out there, right? They're experiencing some of these things for the first time. Of course, Shiro can't ball out the whole tournament and then kind of be the 4th best player in the final, right? That can't happen, moving forward. But a couple of more tournaments and you're not gonna see that, right? I think they need one of the guys to be more like Nafani. He's the only one hyping them up and talking, whether it's gonna be Inters as a support player, making that his job a little bit more, or it's going to be, maybe the coach when he can be with them, because Groove is more the CEO of the org and whatnot, right? I think that's what they're missing a little bit, someone to pick them up, to lift the energy up, lift the spirits up when they're starting to get tired or whatnot.
And we're going to bring our commentators on as well to give their closing and final thoughts of it all. So Dinko and Hawker, thank you very much for a fantastic best of 5 at the end there. How you feeling, boys?
Haven't spoken enough, Joe, so we're back for more. But yeah, coming into this, I'm just very excited to have been back on land with the players. It's been such a great time just seeing the players around, and everything in Budapest has been awesome. First time here, so I've enjoyed it a lot, and it's just good to be back in the same room as all you guys as well.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, literally. I echo that mostly, and just excited to see where some of these teams go in the future. Yeah. Obviously, Entropiq have a big future ahead of them. Some of these players have really impressed us, and just all the teams here, honestly, have been really cool. There's been some cool surprise packages, as Janko pointed out, from some of the regional teams. So really fun event, honestly, and I'm glad we did go 5 maps in the final. Just a bit of a shame about that final map.
Yes, it certainly was. Well, Dinko and Hawker, thank you very much once again. Thank you to Kasad and Janko and everyone else that joined us on the broadcast. Jay, Dweg and Natu and Drowlon as well. We are done here for the V4 Future Sports Festival 2021. Gambit walk away as the champions, but like Janko was saying, maybe a bit more work for these guys to do, but they're young and they're learning, they're growing their way through. A great event for the region. We got to showcase and see some up and coming talent, and we get to see next year, next season, how they'll be able to do as well. For all of you guys at home for watching, thank you very much for sticking with us and enjoying the show. It's been a bit more relaxed, a bit more fun as well. And a big thank you for all the partners involved, all the staff behind the scenes for making this happen. We'll see you on the next one.
Harosh.